Hello, my grots and gets. Welcome back to Happy Corporate Wargaming. I'm thrilled to have you here. Today we have a fairly quick one for you. I actually got stomped last night by a buddy of mine who was trying out the new Vanguard tech from Space Marines, and it was absolutely awesome. And I think it's probably something that's going to be slept on. So I want to reveal the tech to you guys right now because honestly, this is probably not one of the most obviously powerful detachments from the new Space Marine Codex, and I don't think you'll see it a whole bunch. But when you do, it's gonna really screw some people up. So I wanted to go ahead and explore how it works for everyone today. All right, let's pop right on into things. So essentially, there's tons of cool ways to run Space Marines right now. And just before I get right into the Vanguard, let me just say, when we're looking at the way the Tyranids Codex came out and the way that the Space Marines Codex came out now, which I mean, I guess this Space Marines Codex isn't out, but it might as well be out. Tyranids have 6 good detachments. They're all useful, and you get perhaps 4 of them are just, honestly, quite obviously competitive, which is really, really cool. And then you also will have, in the Space Marines Codex, you've got 6 useful detachments, 5 at least that are obviously competitively viable. This bodes exceptionally well for the game once we get all the codexes out and we enter the actual full game. Because remember, we're still an index hammer. This is still the beta state of the game. This is even with all the fixes and all the changes and how happy I am with 10th edition right now. This is still beta state, which is super freaking exciting. But let's talk about Vanguard specifically. All right, so Vanguard Spear. This is essentially the Raven Guard version of the Space Marines now. And so their detachment rule is going to be everything outside of 12 inches is going to be getting stealth and cover. This, on its surface, doesn't sound super, super amazing, but then you start thinking about what it means. Well, what it means now is you can actually have your dreadnoughts or your tanks standing wide out in the open, 0 cover, and they still get cover saves. And they're going to be -1 to hit. So how much durability does that give your tanks? It gives your tanks a ton of durability. It increases their durability like a shocking amount. Because when you have a, say, Ballistic Dreadnought standing wide out in the open with a 2-up armor save with cover, with Armor of Contempt if you want, AP2, they're still saving on 2-ups standing out in the middle of nowhere. That is so freaking powerful, and you're going to be -1 to hit them. So this is a extremely, extremely strong combination that I am kind of terrified of, to be honest with you. And then on top of these really good detachment bonus, which might seem less good than the others at first, but it's not. You have some really super tricky stratagems as well. Some of those stratagems, I'm just going to run through them pretty quickly for you. So for 1 CP, you get to move D6 inches after being declared as the charge target. So the enemy can only redeclare if you make the charge impossible. So let's say you're, I don't know, 10 inches away, and then you roll a 3 on your dice. Well, why don't you just make that charge at 11.9? So or make it even better. Let's say you are 7 inches away and you roll a 6. So you get to move a full 6. Well, why don't you just move 5.9? So now your enemy has an 11.9 inch charge to make, which is basically never going to happen. And even if it does, it's going to pull their unit so far out of position that they really screw themselves by making the charge. Most of the time, you actually want to allow your opponent to still have the charge. And I'm going to show you an example of how to do this later on in the video, right at the end of it. So stay tuned for that. It's where I show you how to actually use this to really bait your opponents. Then you've got 1 CP for sticky objectives. This is great. This is a fairly common type of a stratagem. I know the Custodians currently have it, but in the Vanguard Spearhead, you actually get bonus for it. So it's not just 1 CP sticky objective. It's 1 CP sticky objective, and when your opponent steps on it, for that turn, every enemy unit that steps on it is going to take like D3 mortal wounds. Not just one unit, every enemy unit that steps on it will take D3 mortal wounds. And it doesn't become unsabotaged until after they control it for a full phase. So this is actually really, really nice. It's sticky is always super useful. And on top of it, you get to screw your enemy up with some mortal wounds. That's a really big deal. Then you have 2 CP in melee. The whole unit gets precision. I think this is kind of a dud. Maybe this is a little bit useful-ish. So if you're going into the Lich Guard blob and you have both the Overlord and the Technomancer, okay, you're pretty much guaranteed to kill both of them. And the Necron's player can only resurrect one of them. So I guess you can more or less guarantee that you're going to whittle the unit down enough so that you can kill it next turn. But that doesn't really mean that you're still going to be able to do it. So I don't know. I kind of find this 2 CP for the whole unit to get precision melee kind of a dud. I'm sure you can find a time when it works, but that's probably the worst stratagem that they have. Okay, then let's look at, they still have Armor Contempt, which is just freaking awesome. Everyone knows Armor Contempt. Everyone hates it. It's super, super strong, especially when you stack it with everything as cover and everything's -1 to hit. Woo, shooting armies beware. Then we're going to have 1 CP for 1 infantry unit that's more than 12 inches away from the enemy. So you're already getting the benefits of your detachment, which is where you want to be. You want to be further away 12 inches. And then you're going to get an additional +1 ballistic skill and +1 AP. If they kill an enemy model, that unit then must take a battle shock test. I'm trying to think about how awesome this is, and immediately what springs to mind, like what types of units do you really think you want to use this on? Because for me, I'm thinking aggressors. And I'm just going to pull the aggressor data sheet up here real quick so I don't sound like an idiot when I talk about this. So for the aggressors, you're getting auto bolt storm gauntlets, right? And they're 18 inch range. They're twin link to hit. And you can still take the exact same librarian that you used to, who gives them the exploding 5, or not librarian. You can still take the exact same character that gives them the critical hits on 5, so they're exploding on 5s. And then they're going to be at +1 AP. Then, if it's also the closest eligible target they're shooting at, they're also going to be at +1 AP. So you could actually get these Firestorm Gauntlets critical hitting on 5s with AP2, and it's going to be twin link, so they get to reroll everything. Oh yeah, also they're hitting on 2s. They're no longer just hitting on 1s. So you could, even if you're going into the Oath target, you get critical hits on 5s, re-rolling everything, fishing for 5s, hitting on 2s. So you were missing nothing, and you're going to end up getting significantly over the amount of shots that you were going for. And then it's all going to be at AP2 with twin link. This is actually very disgusting, and it's pretty freaking terrifying. So that is a awesome strat, and you're going to see it used. Then you got a 1 CP return to strat reserves. This can be used on 2 Phobos scout units or 1 other infantry unit. This is actually really useful, seeing as, I think everyone at this point in time realizes just how nice it is to have things go back into reserves. I'm immediately thinking about using this on our Inceptors. Inceptors have the special ability that they get to deep strike 3 inches away from you, but they only get to do it the one time. Not in the Vanguard Spearhead detachment, because you can always pick them back up, and they get to use their ability again and arrive 3 inches away again. Super nice. All right, let's talk about some of these enhancements. These enhancements are pretty decent. You've got the Blade, Driven Deep. You get to give infiltration to an infantry unit. Holy crap, this is scary. One of the big problems with a lot of the scary Space Marine units is that they're pretty dang slow. What if you take a unit of Deathwing Knights and you give them infiltrate? Guys, are you picking up what I'm putting down? You take a unit of Deathwing Knights and you give them infiltrate. Your enemy's in trouble. Especially if you go first, you just deploy 9 inches away from them, move on up 5 inches, charge in through lines, or just, I don't know, just stay there and be like, hey guys, put your entire army into my AOC, in cover, 2-up, armor save, -1 damage, toughness 5, Deathwing Knights. Your enemy's screwed. Like, they're screwed. They could just lose the game then and there. Ghostwave Cloak, give stealth and loan up to a single unit. That's okay. Honestly, I probably never take that, because in all reality, I'm probably taking an Eversort if I want a good loan up unit. Then we go, but it can be useful, I guess. I know my buddy, he took it with the, was it the Phobos Captain? Because he gave him 3 redeploys that happened after you determine who goes first. Which is pretty cool. Then we had Execute and Redeploy. This is Scoot and Shoot. This is pretty freaking awesome. What if you put this character and you attach them to the aggressors, or you attach them to whatever? So every time they shoot, they scoot. That's actually pretty freaking gross. So you just get them right within range. You spend the 1 CP to give them extra AP, obliterate whatever you're shooting at, and then move them 6 inches back, where they can't even be targeted. This is nasty, guys. And then lastly, we have the Shadow War Veteran. Basically, you're just going to make, it's a vect. You get to make an enemy battle tactic strat cost 1 more CP. That's cool. It's useful. People like it. Honestly, I probably wouldn't use this. I'd probably be taking a Calidus if I want to do that. Or maybe I take this and a Calidus to make my enemy Marines Armor of Contempt cost 3 CP instead of just 1. Ooh, or perhaps you make their CP reroll cost 3 instead of 1. I don't know, man. That's actually pretty gross. All right, maybe I convinced myself it's not bad. Finally, let's talk about who really loves this attachment. I'm immediately thinking tanks, gladiators, repulsors. These guys love this detachment because the biggest problem with these tanks is that they're not that survivable. They only have a 3-up armor save. However, now they get to stand out in the middle of nowhere. They're -1 to be hit, which is a huge boost in survivability, coupled with having cover no matter where they are, as long as they're further than 12 inches. This is a huge boost to these tanks. You get these gladiators that are going for 150 points that can really put out a lot of output, but they're pretty fragile. Suddenly they become significantly tougher than they originally were, and you're getting a lot more output from them. Terminators, love this stuff. Oh, I kind of wrote that twice. Let's just delete this one, and I'm going to go on into the... I'll talk about that one last. Delete. All right, fine. Eliminators. Eliminators, I think you'll probably see better use for eliminators in other detachments because they already have the infiltrate loan up and they already have the scoot and shoot. But if you wanted to take, say, all last fusils, and these guys get extra ballistic skill and AP, suddenly those last fusils, even if you move, are hitting on 2s, and they're going to be at AP 4 d6 damage. It's not too shabby. Kind of like it. Then we have the Ballistus Dreads. Ballistus Dreads, actually, I don't like them. I thought they sucked. And then my buddy ran them against me last night, and holy crap. You get a 2-up armor save model that is out in the middle of nowhere, getting cover. They're -1 to be hit. These guys are actually starting to slap, and it's very, very hard to take them down, especially when you couple that with if they want to use armor contempt, etc., etc. Wow, these guys are really, really viable now. I know some people like the Redemptors, and I love the Redemptors as well, but they're 210, so I don't know. You could run us against the Redemptors as well, for sure. That's for sure. I think they might be a little expensive, especially considering now you can take the tanks, and the tanks are a lot more survivable. So in this particular detachment, you might really enjoy that. Then we look at Inceptors. We already spoke about the fact that now you can take them back into Strat Reserve so they can make use of their 3-inch deep strike multiple times. And if this is confusing, guys, remember that what happens is in 10th edition, whenever you return to Strat Reserves or that type of equivalent ability, if you have the deep strike special rule, you actually arrive using deep strike. I know that can get really confusing, but that's in the rules commentary, so go look that up if you're confused by that. And then lastly, we have the Deathwing Knights or the Terminators. You can take the character that gives them infiltrate. Let me show you something super, super dope. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch to the TTS view so I can kind of show you guys how to use this, because it's pretty gross, and I got caught out on it. I don't really want you to get caught out on it. So let's say that this is my deployment right here. These are okay, I'll use it with the aggressors, but essentially the theory is the same with our Deathwing Knights. I couldn't find the models for the Deathwing Knights, so screw me. Sue me. Anyway, so we have a truck on the line. Let's say that you deployed them using infiltrate right up here. A little bit far away, but you're controlling the middle now, and you're getting ready to be able to overwatch anyone who comes into your domain. So let's say my knobs want to come on up. Well, my knobs get to deploy 3 inches away from the truck, and then they get to move 9 inches from there. So they're just going to come right about here, and then they'll move like 6 inches out. So once they get out of the truck, that's roughly 9 inches. Yeah, that's perfect. That's 8.9, so that's 9 inches. So this is going to give me a 5.6-inch charge. Now I have a 5-inch charge. Go ahead and do your Overwatch. But let's say you have a pretty decent Overwatch. This is not going to be the oath target, although maybe it is. But let's just say we kill 3 knobs on your Overwatch. Well, that was fun. We enjoyed that. Now my knobs are going to declare a charge against you. So the aggressors are going to be like, hey, you know what? I have an extra CP, so why don't I just use that to move D6 inches? So suddenly these guys roll a 6. And they're already 5 inches away, so now you have instead of a 5-inch charge, they now have an 11-inch charge. And they're not going to make the 11-inch charge. And even if they do, suddenly this huge powerhouse of a unit is off the middle objective. They don't get it, because they're probably not going to wipe it now that they're a little depleted. Although even if they do wipe it, okay, so they can get back onto the objective, but they're completely out of position and they immediately die in your opponent's turn. This is such a strong ability, guys. It is incredible. If you use this with Deathwing Knights, oh my gosh, the Deathwing Knights literally will never ever die, and your own opponent is just going to be thriving in pain on the ground. It's going to be absolutely disgusting. So anyway, guys, this is the Vanguard. And I really, really hope you enjoyed the video because it should get all of you guys thinking outside the box a little bit so that you can really realize how you can utilize some of these new detachments in a really strong, super cool ability. If you like this thinking, go ahead and join the Discord server. I'll put a link down below. And if you really enjoy this thinking, go and become a member because for all my members, that you get access to the member-only section of the Discord where I will do a lot of extra stuff. So like I will always go in depth when I'm helping you to review your list. Also, our amazing admins will help a bunch with that as well. So it's super, super awesome, and it's just a little way for you guys to say thank you for the work that myself and all of our admins put in if you join the members. If you don't, join the free section, and we still talk about all this stuff, maybe just a little bit less in depth, but you've got a lot of really great veteran players there who can help you out as well. We also have a pretty cool bustling fitness community over there, which is actually super exciting. If you guys like this type of video, just hit the like button, subscribe, and hop on over, and we'll see you in the Discord. Until next time, my happy crumpers. Crump on, baby, and enjoy your freaking games. Bye-bye.